Okay, so I'm going to give you some instructions on how to assemble your bench when it arrives. First thing you want to do is find your top. Look like this. When you flip it over, there's some arrows on the bottom. You just want to point those towards you. Lay the top out flat. Next, you're going to find your bottom support piece. Looks like this. On the longer benches, these will be solid, but on the shorter benches, it'll look just like this. You can lay it down, have the arrow pointing towards you and the taller edge along the front. Next, you're going to grab your end pieces. You'll notice they're labeled with an R or an L. So this is the right side. So we're going to put the R on the right side. It's going to go just like this. So you're going to get your hardware pack. The screws, these screws, you can either use a Phillips screwdriver or a number 2 square screwdriver or bit. I'm using a drill just because it's quicker, but if all you have is a screwdriver, you can use that as well. There's some pocket holes, and this just screws right in like this. We'll go over to the other side. This one has labeled with an L, so we'll go right like this. All we do is we just want to make sure it's flush along the outside edges, and then we'll screw those in. The holes are already pre-drilled, so it'll self-align as they're going in. Okay, next you'll notice there's some markings on the top. You just want to put the corner of the bench inside those markings, just like that. Grab your screws. There's pocket holes right here. Go down. There's some holes right here. Down in. There's 2 right here. Okay, then we get 2 more pocket holes right here. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this bench. We're just going to set it right up on end like this. So we're going to grab your shelf piece. It'll look right like this. You want those arrows to match the arrows on the rest of it, so it's going to point towards the front of the bench right here. You'll just set it right like this. You want to lift up on this slightly so this goes in. You'll notice when you're doing this, there's some lines on here and here. You'll just put the bottom of the shelf even with that line. We'll take the screws, make sure it's even along the front and on the line. Screw it down. Come up here. Come up on the top up here. You may need to lift pressure up on this so you're able to move this freely. Line it up with the line. Okay. On these screws on the shelf, we're going to put them in just a little bit, just enough to keep that shelf in place. We're not going to tighten them down, just a little bit in. We're going to grab the floor piece. Again, the arrows and the taller edge is going to point towards the front of the bench. It's the same thing. There's some lines that show you where this goes. Put the bottom of that, bottom even with that line. Pocket holes right here. Okay. Come up here. Same thing. Line it up even with that line. You can then come back in and finish tightening up these shelf screws. Okay. Now we're going to make sure everything's cleared out of the way. Set this down on a nice soft surface. Make sure there's no screws or anything under it. And then what we're going to do is, last step here, we have some bracing pieces. You'll notice one's labeled with an R, so it's going to go on the right side of the bench. So if you're facing the front like this, it's going to go on the right side. The one labeled with the R. The one with just the R is going to go right here. These pocket screws just screw right down. And then you'll notice there's one label with an RS, so that's the right shelf. So So that'll go right here. I just like to hold these with my thumb when I'm putting them in, just to hold them tight up again. And they're all just pre-drilled, they'll self-align as you're screwing them in. I'm going to complete the same step over on the left side. Now just flip the bench up. That is complete. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.